Hey everyone, welcome to Nick's Corner. I'm Nick, you're in my corner. Today we're going to do a Q&A. Um, I got people in my Discord server to send in their questions, and I'm here to answer them for you. So, without further ado, favorite book cover art. Of what I currently own, I'm going to say this. I really love the cover art for Dune, especially this edition here. It's very beautiful. I really enjoy it. The blue eyes on the character there is really interesting, and the blue eyes are very important in the story as well. So, just something I'm really picking up on, something I'm really liking. I really love the cover art for it. What's your favorite non-fantasy book? Favorite non-fantasy book? Holy smokes, man. A non-fantasy book? My favorite? Um, Maybe The Shining? The Shining is really good, and it's one of my favorite Stephen King books. And I would say that's probably my favorite non-fantasy book currently to date. That is always subject to change. So yeah, The Shining. What makes you choose to buy or read a book? Well, I think I get asked this one fairly often. Generally, a good recommendation with some oomph behind it. I want you to sell me on it. I want you to tell me why I should read it, and I want you to tell me what it made you feel that made you want to recommend it to me. That sort of thing. That's what really helps me choose. However, otherwise, I go off of a lot of research. I will sit there and watch book reviews on different books, see what I find interesting. Sometimes it's just purely on recommendation, like that's my biggest one is recommendation. However, also sometimes the cover, like for instance, I have that my best friend's exorcism. I bought that purely for the cover. I don't know if it's going to be any good or not. It might be garbage, but the cover of the book looks cool. So yeah, it's I have many different reasons why I pick up books. Um, Good or bad, what kind of character are you? I like to think of myself as morally gray. I do my best to do good, however, I'm not afraid to do bad if it means taking care of my family or um, proving my position on how I stand. So not going to get into it. I had issues with my neighbors. I had to be a bad guy. It worked. End of story. That's that's how, sometimes you don't can't be a good guy. Sometimes you got to be a bad guy. Um but morally gray is where I like to sit. I don't want to be on either end of the spectrum for that, to be honest. Because being ultimately too good can make you naive, and being too bad can make you overly cynical. So I like to hover in the middle. Do you enjoy shorter or longer books? Well, when I was deciding to get into Stephen King, I went for his biggest book. Because I'm not afraid of large books. They don't scare me. They don't intimidate me. Generally, I really love reading them and going through a lot of the stories. Sometimes the larger books have a little the oomph. It gives you more oomph sometimes, but sometimes it's a little bit of it's fluff, right? So um, I like to sit around 500 pages for a book. If a book's 500 pages, I think it's a good sized book. What are my top five fantasy books? Lord of the Rings, number one. I'm gonna go with The Witcher for number two, A Song of Ice and Fire for number three. I'm really enjoying Wheel of Time. I'm four books into it for number four. And my last fantasy book series that I would say is the best of the best. I really like The Blade itself as much as I enjoy The Lies of Locke Lamora. So there is also those two, and I'm going to tie them for five. So we'll call it six. Deal with it. Um, if you could save one book in the world, what would it be? Be Lord of the Rings. That's easy. If you could take any one book to a time era, what book and what era? I would definitely take The Lord of the Rings, and I don't know what era I would take it to. Probably, somewhere's in the not too crazy past, but far enough back that they could enjoy the story, or maybe even take it as history. That'd be kind of cool. But otherwise, I'm not too sure on what era. But definitely Lord of the Rings. Always Lord of the Rings. That's my number one pick. Is there a book you changed a rating after reflecting or rereading? I changed a rating on Cold Storage recently because when I read it, I felt it was like super amazing and it did something for me that I hadn't had a book do for me in a long time. And then I turned around and I read a bunch more books and I realized that book just didn't stand up quite where I thought it was. I marked it down from its original number because I just felt like it wasn't quite where I felt it needed to be. Which book have you read so many times that you can't count? The Lord of the Rings. I am well over 30 times, and I might even be over 50. What author merits more attention? So an author that deserves more attention that doesn't have it. I'm going to say Ray Celestin. I read The Axeman's Jazz. It's an awesome mystery, history mystery book. History mystery. And I really, really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to read. He's got a few other books. I'm really looking forward to reading them. He was really well done, and I don't think he gets that much attention. So, him. What books intimidated you? I don't get intimidated by books a whole lot. I guess the Stormlight Archive, just because they're so large. But I have a feeling that once I get into them, I'm gonna just devour them, because a large book doesn't mean that it's daunting or anything, but it's something I'm really looking forward to. Any books you only finished to see what the hype was about? The Witch's Elm. I felt like that book had to have an ending because it was so slow going and it was just so boring and nothing was happening. And I was like, something has to happen. Nothing happened. So I was really disappointed with that. The hype wasn't there. Anyway, guys, that's everything for the video today. Thank you so much for coming to the corner, and you have a wonderful day. Take care. Mm-hmm.